Okay, so now you've figured out how to set up your layout view to make it efficient. The next step is going to be inputting activities. So, you notice in this particular one, I've already started putting in activities. I'm going to scroll down till we've got some that we haven't installed yet. Now, there's two schools of thought on doing this. A, you can go ahead and set up, like I've done here, each one of the placeholders, and you'll notice here you'll see earthwork, and you'll see activities put in here, and then you'll see these X's. Well, what I've done is after I've already set up the WBS, I have input an activity and put an X in it, meaning it's a placeholder. So if I right-click on it and hit Add, it's going to automatically add, and I just put an X there, it's going to automatically add a placeholder for more activities where it's faster for me to type. As you're getting accustomed to doing this, I would recommend you do it this way. There is another way that you can do it, to where if you came all the way to the bottom, and let's say we hit Add an activity, and then we're going to say Copy, Paste. It's going to give you the default for all the increments, and you can actually do it this, hang on, you can do it this, let me highlight it correctly. Copy, paste, and you can see now what you can do is if you know you've got a bunch of activities, copy, paste. You can now create more activities this way instead of having to right-click, right-click, right-click. So that is an option, and what you can do is come in and input your activities, do the process, link them together so that you're not going between each section, and then the last thing you would do would be the master project. So let's take this as an example here. In this particular project, we have, we finished on, let's see. Okay, so now we're gonna deal with the interior section, and you're going, but wait a minute, you're down here where it says weather float days. Well, we're gonna wait and categorize those at the last minute, and I'll show you the convenience of why. So let's say the first activity is secure space with permanent barrier. Okay? I'm going to turn this down so we don't hear a loud ding every time we do this. Okay, so all you have to do is, if your cell is highlighted here, it allows you just to type directly in. So we already have a list of our activities because we've done our planning. So I'm going to, my method has always been do one thing completely through a sequence, then go to the next aspect of it. Well, what I mean by that is, it's so much easier when you lose your train of thought. And let me give you, for instance, here. You can see on this particular schedule, I had already started inputting activities. And it's impossible to get through a schedule all in one sitting. So, and you notice over here, they're not really linked yet. They're all showing that they start the same time. That's your first clue that they're not linked yet. So you lose your train of thought. So if you know that you're always in, let's say you start inputting tasks, and you know that you're in that phase of all you're doing is writing in the descriptions, it's much easier for you to find your place when you resume working again. So we're going to go ahead here and we're going to put in, now notice when I click on it, it goes away and the X shows up, so you got to highlight it. Okay, and I'm going to do demo existing CMU walls, which is the next activity. I'm just going to hit the down button. We've got architectural demo existing space. That means that it's not a structural demo. You're not taking down walls. You're just taking down the stuff that's in the room. Okay. We've got demo underground plumbing existing space. Okay. And then we've got new piping, computer room. Okay, so that's not all our activities, but I just want to show you this method of what I'm talking about. So now we've come in and we've put in the list of activities that we're going to input in this session. The next step you do is you do the durations. So we know that we were going to do 5 days here, so that's good. Now notice you can set the default to be any number. I always set it at 5 because rule of thumb is you'd ever want to put in an activity typically that's got more than 10 to 15 days. So 5 seems like a good number. There's a lot of things that happen in 5 days, which represents typically a work week. Okay, so I'm going to have 7 days here, so I'm now going to put 7. I'm going to go down. I'm going to put 6 is the next one. Okay, 3 is the duration for the next one. And 4, lastly, is here. Okay, so now we have input in the durations. So the next step then would be to do the dependencies, meaning your predecessor start and finish. Now let's say that I don't want to have to go down here to always have to do that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand this window, and I've decided I'm going to add columns. Now if I don't know where it is, I can hit the find button, and it will take me directly to that deal. It's under the lists, but I never remember that. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put it next to last, and then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to take successors and I'm going to put it right below there, and I'm going to hit apply. Okay, now before I forget, I'm going to come up like the last video and do layout, save. So it saved my current layout. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to identify predecessors and successors. Well, you have to be aware of the way that you have the project sorted. So if you want all these to stay together, don't link this one yet. You always want this one and the predecessor of the first activity and the successor of the last activity to be the last thing that you link, because it's going to start moving. So what we're going to do is we're going to come here and we're going to double click. Now notice you get a pop-up window over here. Okay, so I know now this is where I'm going to go through and sort. Now all I did, again, watch this. I double clicked here and my display of all the potential successors I could have show up in this right hand window. So we're now dealing with 3870, and we know that 3880, the next activity, is going to be the successor. Notice I just double click on it, it automatically inputs it in this screen, and it shows me that I've got it here. Okay, so I'm going to come here and I'm going to say that the successor to this one is going to be 3900, right? Oh, notice it's moving. It's moving because we're inputting data. Alright, we've got it set to sort. So if you don't want it to do that, we're going to edit, undo activity relationship, edit, undo activity relationship, edit. Okay. I see it move. Now what's happened is it's moved it completely. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here, and under the view, this is how you group and sort the schedule. We're going to leave this alone because this is how the groupings are done. But under sort, we're going to take out, it's got early start. We're going to remove it for right now. because it's going to make it easier for us to do our deal. Now notice when I did that, everything went back to the way I input it. Do you see that? So now I can come in without risk of having this stuff move. I'm going to hit predecessor. Notice the predecessor window opens up, and it's going to be 3870. Now when I do it this way, did you notice it automatically input the predecessor-successor relationship diagonally? So what I'm going to recommend to you is to always use do your predecessors first, because it will naturally give this relationship here, whereas if you just use the successor, it's only going to deal with the successor relationship. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to say that the predecessor is demo existing walls. Did the same. Did the same. Did the same. Okay. So now we've done what we need to do where it's only got this relationship here. Okay? The next step is going to be to assign. Now remember, we took the sort button off here, so it's not going to move. So we need to find out what was the predecessor to securing this existing space. And based upon the input that I had in the planning session, it appears as though hold that thought, I'm looking at my plan. Okay, it appears as though the relationship is directly tied to, we're going to go up here and we're going to find it appears as though we want to get started first with getting most of the slab work done before we start working on the interiors. Now remember, this is all just interior work. Okay? So now I'm going to close this window, and notice over here it is now started to populate the schedule. Okay? So if I want this stuff to now move, alright, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and I'm going to take this out. Now I'm going to remember that this is WBS level 1. If I don't remove this now, okay, it's going to move to the other location before I can get the codes done. So I'm going to delete this grouping. I'm going to hit OK. Notice everything now merged together. You see this? Where'd my subheaders go? Well, it's because that's the way I changed the grouping. Okay, but I now have my tasks in one place. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to take this under the master project. I'm going to double click on it, and this has to do with the interior renovation. It doesn't have to do with the 1-story or the 3-story. Okay, now notice now I've decided I'm missing a value here. So I'm going to come in. We're going to go back to the enterprise. This is a good refresher for you all. And we're going to go to the master project. We're going to add a code, and we're going to make it 00. I hate it when it doesn't type. 00 again. Oh, can't use the same one. So we're going to make it 00-1, and it's going to be interior renovation. Okay? I'm going to close. Now I'm going to come back here. I'm going to do interior renovation. Now watch this. I'm going to put my cursor here. I'm going to go up here, hit Shift, and highlight that. This box is now highlighted, right? Right click, fill down. There you go. Now see, isn't that easy? So now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to determine what my building area is. So the building area is, we're not really sure what quadrant it's in just yet. So I'm not going to select anything just yet. Now I'll have to come back to that and put it once I look at the plans to determine where it is. But I don't want to take the time to do that right now. So I'm going to just close that out, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to look and see, is my calendar set correctly? Now notice this whole schedule is set on a standard 5-day work week. Well, I don't believe that's what we talked about in class. I think we talked about in class that we were going to do a 6-day work week, weren't we? So we're going to highlight this. Notice it puts 6-day work week. We're going to scroll all the way to the bottom. Scroll back up. Hit Shift. Highlight this one. Right click. Fill down. Now that's some cool stuff, isn't it? Gotta love that. Okay. So here we go. We're back down to here. Now we're like, okay, don't hyperventilate yet because we have not gotten back to our view. So all we have to do is come here, customize. Whenever you see this icon, see how it shows the sorting, the headers? Well, that's the way it typically, Primavera says that we're going to do this. So we're going to hit the group by, WBS. Oh, would help if I highlighted on it. We're going to go to level 3 because that's the only level we have. Okay, we're then going to do sort, and we're going to go to early start, right? Like we had before. Add. When you hit add, the drop down box comes down. Type in an E so it brings up the first letter. Hit OK. Apply. OK. And like magic, okay, this has come back up. Now, this weather float days, you're going, well, why didn't this get assigned? Well, because our projects, let's see, view, where do I collapse all? Here we go. Collapse all. We didn't quite want them to go that far. Okay. Look, there's interior. So in order for it to get there, we've got to come in and put it there. So we're going to come down here. Oh, you know why? It's because it's not assigned to the WBS. So we're going to click on here. We're going to add another column. We're going to go WBS. Close that out. We're going to bring this over. Now I like to put it right there just so it's, well, we're going to put it right here. I always like to put all the special codes we're using towards the end and leave these 5 descriptors in the very beginning. Hit apply. Okay, so right now, because we used one of these blank ones down here, it's assuming that this belongs to this same WBS structure. So now we're going to hit this, and we're going to go to interior, which should be here. Now notice when I did that, it disappeared. We had 5 items and now there's only 4. So because we've got the sort function going, it's going to automatically, we can't do the fill down. If we go back here and we take off the fill down, okay, and we go back down to where they were, and we do this, and we go to interiors, and then we come here and we do our right click, fill down. Okay, so they've changed. So now we got to go back up here, customize, WBS, level 3, apply, boom, and now they're gone. They've moved to here. That's some pretty cool stuff, isn't it? So you have the option of either running them all in one place, taking off the sort, and performing all your operations, or you can just simply go in to each one of these and start typing so that it automatically sorts by the WBS and then link them together. Either way, it doesn't matter. It's your personal preference. Whatever you think is easiest for you to use. Okay, that's as hard as it gets for inputting activities into P6, and one of the reasons why it's so easy at this point is that you've done all the proper prep work and the proper sequencing by setting up your WBS structure, by setting up your activity codes, all of those different components, that now it's just a matter of go. Just put it in. Remember to follow the sequencing. Do all your activity durations, your names first, then do your durations, okay? Then do your linking, then do your codes. If you have a system, I promise you, you will not get lost, and it will make it far more enjoyable to set up a schedule.